The story begins when the Holy Knight confronts a vampire, taunting him for hiding for so long. The Holy Knight says, "You have killed a lot, but your role is over now. God will no longer allow you to do as." He strikes down the vampire, gloating that he has finally earned the title of Vampire Slayer, and details the vampire's sins, stating that his very existence is a confirmation of his transgressions. With a chilling smile, he reveals a sinister truth to the vampire. Eugene reacts with shock as the Holy Knight admits they deliberately held off on capturing him. Defeated, he listens as the Holy Knight explains that the delayed pursuit was intentional and confesses to using him as a spectacle to gain attention and warn non-believers, causing Eugene immense pain. Eugene reflects on the harsh reality of this world. Only the strong survive. He recalls running away because everything is determined by strength, regardless of one's beliefs. The Holy Knight delivers a fatal blow, slicing him in half, and stands bathed in a crimson glow after defeating the vampire. The Holy Knight looks down, declaring that the vampire's mere existence defiles the church's image. With his last breath, Eugene wishes for another chance, vowing that he will no longer run. Dripping blood signifies not just an end, but a new beginning. Eugene gasps awake in a tent, disoriented but visibly younger and uninjured. He frantically looks around the tent, confused about where he is and what just happened. Checking his bandaged hands, he confirms his body is whole, despite the clear memory of his death. He recognizes his old tent and realizes this is no dream, but a return to the past. He concludes that he has gone back half a year to a time before the Holy Knights began their relentless hunt. Standing in his tent, he finally grasps the unbelievable truth. He has returned to the past. He clenches his fist, determined to make the most of this second chance. He used to hide in a remote forest near Broadwin Village, a place rarely visited by humans. He survived by hiding, avoiding human eyes at all costs simply because he was weak. This frail vampire, barely clinging to life, was Eugene in his past. Despite not craving human blood, he once succumbed to his instincts. A single mistake that ruined his life. Within days of his mistake, mercenaries and Holy Knights swarmed the village. No matter how long he hid or how far he ran, the Holy Knights always found him. Driven by fear, he survived for 12 years by drinking only the blood of beasts, a desperate existence. Running through the forest, he resolves not to repeat his past mistakes. Changing his future is more important than understanding how he returned. With fierce resolve, he decides that hiding will only lead to the same fate. He must become strong enough to fight back. Under a green moon, he decides to fully embrace his vampire nature and go with the vampire way, and he walks into a swampy forest, determined to change his survival strategy. Vampires absorb power through blood, and stronger blood yields greater power. He approaches a glowing target in the swamp. And with newfound determination, he spots his target, a powerful creature whose blood can make him stronger. A massive, terrifying crocodile-looking monster, the self-proclaimed master of the forest, lunges at him. He narrowly dodges the attack, his eyes wide with focus. The monster unleashes glowing energy blasts from its eyes, forcing him to evade. He assesses the situation. In his weak state, he can only dodge, but even a small wound would be enough to drink its blood. He deftly evades the monster's assault, determined to land a blow and claim its power. Mid-leap with his sword raised, he reflects on his past strategy of erasing his presence. He vigorously attacks the monster. Driven by a desperate need for power and the new understanding that hiding is futile, he lands a powerful glowing strike on the monster, desperate for power above all else. To his shock, his sword is broken, leaving him vulnerable. The monster's powerful tail smashes the sword, disarming him. He is violently thrown back by the attack, splashing into the swamp. Severely injured and bleeding, he lies on the ground, his eyes wide with pain and desperation. As the monster gaping M looms over him, he wonders if he underestimated its strength. Monsters are wild predators that wander the wilderness, unlike monsters found in dungeons, and some of him carry precious mana crystals, occasionally appearing even in mana-less regions. Eugene struggles against the monster. He knows the mana crystal is crucial, but he is overwhelmed by the difference in their strength. He realizes he's severely underestimated this monster. It's a forest master-level threat. Caught in the monster's jaws, he fears his life will end before he can even land a proper blow. The monster unleashes a devastating shockwave, a display of its immense power. Monster takes Eugene through his power in further deep swamp. He reflects on his complacency, wondering if he thought he would always get another chance after returning to the past. As the monster pins him down, he rejects the thought of having overestimated himself, recalling his life of struggle. His past was spent crawling and holding his breath just to survive. As the monster tries to bite down, he recalls doing anything and everything just to survive. With glowing red eyes and bared fangs, he defiantly chooses to fight for his life. No longer content to merely survive, his body begins to glow with power as he declares that he will fight and win. Red markings glow across his transforming body. He must win because if he loses now, there will be no second chance. He reaches for a pulsating red crystal within the monster, knowing defeat means no future. With fierce resolve, he grabs the glowing red crystal, determined to seize its power. Holding the intensely glowing crystal, he understands that true survival comes from overpowering others. The crystal shatters in a burst of vibrant energy as Eugene absorbs its power. Under the full moon, the swamp is tranquil in the aftermath of the fierce battle. A final burst of golden energy signifies the monster's complete defeat. Eugene stands over the defeated monster, reflecting on the promise he made to himself. The bloodied monster is proof of his victory and fulfilled promise. The swamp is now a bloody spectacle under a red moon, littered with the defeated forms of other monsters. Eugene emerges from the bloody swamp, fully transformed with long dark hair, glowing markings, and a powerful physique. And with a confident red eyes and a determined smirk, the new Eugene vows to seize both blood and victory. Under the moonlight, he decides it's too early to test the full power of his newly acquired mana crystal. He only wanted the beast's blood, but absorbing its massive magic stone grants him unbelievable power. The energy mutates his arm into pitch-black armor, a crucial upgrade that completely blocks sunlight. Remembering how monster blood helped him slaughter his past captors, he realizes this new strength changes everything. Paladin Jung is relentlessly tracking his undead aura. Hiding is no longer an option. He must build absolute power to crush his enemies. But knowing his limits, he retreats into the shadows just before dawn. Back at his lake, a tiny water fairy angrily curses the dead beast, then threatens RMC. But when the vampire coldly speaks, the fairy freezes. Shocked that he can actually see it, the creature immediately grovels, offering endless clean water to Sir Nightwalker. Ignoring the rambling fairy, the MC stares at his skin, questioning the 10 mysterious tattoos permanently etched into his forgotten memories. For 10 years, our terrifying Nightwalker has lived peacefully near a human settlement as the mysterious red monster. Our MC prepares to leave the forest, but the local forest fairy isn't quite ready to let him go. Thrilled to finally meet someone who can actually see spirits and magical barriers, the fairy begs him to stay. After all, it's been a long time since they've had a decent conversation partner. The fairy tries to strike a bargain, offering a lifetime supply of fresh, instantly purified water from the wetlands they are trying to restore. But our protagonist isn't interested. He bluntly tells the fairy to get lost and continues on his way. He eventually arrives at Broadwin Village, but the place is in absolute chaos. The villagers are frantically calling for the mayor. The reason, the infamous red-eyed monster has returned. Gathered at the edge of the village, the terrified people stare at a massive pile of hunted game, deer, rabbits, and ducks. It's way more than usual. The villagers are hesitant, whispering among themselves. Usually, this mysterious beast only drops off food in the dead of night, once every half a month. Why is he here now? What does he want? The vampires reveal from the shadows of the tree line. A figure steps forward. "May I step into the village?" he asks. The villagers freeze. The strange man living at the foot of the mountain finally shows himself, and the shock is palpable. He explains that the reason he has isolated himself all this time is simply because he had caught a disease. However, with long seclusion he has recovered. The crowd is stunned, not just by the glowing red eyes of the supposed monster, but because he is remarkably gorgeous. Internally, our vampire knows that to survive in human society, you need to build trust and show goodwill. Even the fairy, who has tagged along, is confused. Why go through the trouble of hunting for humans when you aren't even going to eat the food? The mercenary ambush, but our vampire has a darker, more urgent reason for stepping into the light. He knows that very soon, a ruthless band of mercenaries is going to storm village and slaughter everyone. He needs to stop it. As he walks, a fairy accidentally bumps into him, completely captivated by his striking face. But there's no time for pleasantries. Sensing danger, the vampire and the fairy suddenly stop and slip back into the dense forest. Right on cue, a group of rugged mercenaries appears. They spot the protagonist and immediately assume he's a scout for the village. Seeing that he's alone and lacks any proper armor or equipment, the mercenaries decide to kill him on the spot to keep the element of surprise. Big mistake. Before the mercenaries can even react, there is a blinding flash. In an instant, one of the mercenaries loses his head, sending a spray of blood painting the forest leaves. If he wants to build total trust with the village and avoid any suspicion, there is only one logical solution. Standing amidst the terrified bandits, the gorgeous, red-eyed vampire makes a cold declaration. He is going to kill every single one of them. The mercenaries quickly realize this isn't just some guy from the village. Someone screams the truth. He's a vampire. While some panic, others see dollar signs. Handing a live vampire over to the church would mean a massive bounty, but their greed is immediately punished. Rather than running, our protagonist goes on the offensive. His hands shift, forming terrifying, dragon-like claws that pierce straight through the mercenaries' armor, effortlessly tearing off heads. The remaining bandits are horrified. One of them screams to just retrieve the bodies and run, but it's too late. The vampire's strength is overwhelming. He snatches a sword right out of a mercenary's hand, driving it straight through the man's chest. When a massive, brawny bandit charges him with a heavy weapon, our MC simply catches the blade with his bare hands. In one fluid, brutal motion, he stomps the giant's head straight into the dirt, killing him instantly. The surviving mercenaries circle him, terrified and wounded, realizing their only hope is to attack all at once. Moments later, the villagers, having heard the screams, rush into the forest. They freeze in horror at the absolute massacre before them. The mayor nervously looks at our protagonist, asking the obvious question, "Did you do this?" Without missing a beat, the vampire lies perfectly. He claims he was simply on his way back from checking his traps when he stumbled upon the scene. He points to a pile of dead black wolves nearby, explaining that a massive pack attacked the travelers. He stepped in to fight them off while they were eating the corpses, but there were simply too many. The mayor inspects the bodies. Sure enough, there are deep wolf claw marks and bites on the victims. Relieved, the mayor apologizes for suspecting him, thanking him for his bravery. But the fairy, watching this unfold, is absolutely stunned by our MC's cunning. The fairy knows the truth. Our protagonist slaughtered the mercenaries, and when the wolves showed up smelling the blood, he killed them too. He even took the time to personally carve fake claw marks into the mercenaries' bodies to hide the evidence. Covering his tracks is smart, but the fairy can't help but wonder, why is this incredibly powerful monster trying so hard to play the good guy in front of these humans? To solidify his cover, our MC discovers a letter in one of the dead men's pockets and hands it to the mayor. The mayor's face drops. The letter bears the official seal of Lord Tywin. Reading the contents, the mayor yells out in shock. The letter mentions a boy named Pelid. These mercenaries weren't just passing through. They were sent to the village to assassinate Pelid, the illegitimate son of the Lord, who is currently hiding right there in Provo village. We then flash back to the final moments of the fight to see what really happened. The mercenary leader, terrified by the brute strength of the vampire, orders his men to attack at once. But when the leader charges, our MC simply fixes him with a glowing red gaze and kicks him squarely in the stomach, sending him flying into a tree. Desperate, the leader begs for his life, claiming they just had business in the village over the mountain. "The village is mine," the vampire replies coldly. Realizing his lie won't work, the leader confesses. They weren't hired by the head of the Tywin family. They were hired by the legitimate sons to kidnap the boy, Pelid. They brought an entire small army just in case things went south. Internally, the pieces click together for our protagonist. He recognizes the name behind this order, Bertil Tywin. Bertil is the general manager of the Vampire Pursuit Squad, the very knight who tormented him in his past life. Our MC realizes that in the original timeline, Bertil likely didn't order the village massacred. The mercenaries did that out of sheer greed. However, because the whole village was wiped out, the church sent paladins to investigate, which ultimately led to our protagonist being discovered and hunted down. By slaughtering the mercenaries here and now, he isn't just saving the village, he is erasing the event that ruined his previous life. With the interrogation over, the MC looks down at the defeated leader. "Understood," he says calmly. "Watch out for wolves on your way back." "You're really letting me live," the leader gasps. "Thank you." But before the word can fully leave his lips, his head is swiftly severed